Hostilities between the two factions in Raycog Saronia have intensified recently. Lumerians are empathic only with themselves, and Deanna Troi claws the hell out of Riker's neck. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 6 already. Man of the People, written by Frank Abetamarco. I don't know if that's Italian or what, but directed by Weinrich Colby. This was October 3rd, 1992. Where were you, and how are you today, Sirach?
I'm great. I'm doing great.
Yeah, so everybody, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. If you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. And please go visit us at patreon.com/the7th-rule. Once again, that's patreon.com/the7th-rule to support the show. Keep the lights on, as they say. And, we'd really appreciate that. So, Sirach, you've never watched Star Trek The Next Generation before. You've never seen this episode before. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Was it worth the wait?
Worth the wait. I was not waiting for this one. But, I wasn't sure what kind of episode this was going to be, just kind of when it started. I wasn't sure because they got the distress call from the transport ship, and I'm thinking, okay, this is one of those, episodes where we're going to get a guest star from the transport ship, obviously. And I wanted to know who this episode would essentially be centered around as far as the main cast. And then we saw that it was Troi. And then when I saw that it was Troi, I was like, okay, that's good. We're going to get a good Troi plays a psychological, mental gymnastics with another maybe half telepath or something to that effect.
Yeah, we had one like that before, right?
Yeah. And so I thought, is this like that episode? Because it was another, it reminded me of that episode, which left like an unpleasant kind of taste in my mouth after that episode because of, I think it was Troi being violated by this other telepath. So it was like she was, being forced against her will to, I guess, cooperate in some kind of sexual way. But this I thought was almost too similar to that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty similar in a lot of ways. I mean, in both, I guess she kind of started off curious. She even said curious in this one. And then the guy does some weird magical whatever thing that turns sexual. And I mean, this guy flat out called her a receptacle. I was like, that is the rudest thing. I am not even going to take that any further. But if you call someone a receptacle, bro.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. I was like, that was a strong diss right there.
I know when he said receptacle, I'm like, you might as well just... Yeah. Damn, I can't even. I was like, did he really just? Yeah, he did. So, I'll be honest. I barely remember this episode. The only thing I remember about this episode, surprisingly, I must have seen it before, but the only thing I remember was Troi looking like this, with the gray hair and the streaks of white. And I'm like, she looks pretty cool like that. She looks like some kind of like warlock or, a magic sorceress, she looked pretty crazy in that outfit and the white streaks. And how come nobody was like, oh, Deanna Troi, I mean, Data said, she's altered her appearance, but nobody said, yeah. And her face looks darker and her hair is white. Everybody was like, oh, well, that's Troi being Troi, which is completely different than the first 125 episodes. I don't really care, I guess.
Yeah, I that was weird to me too. That she was aging, and then people didn't recognize the aging part. They're just like, "Oh, look at the outfit she's got on." I'm like, "Yeah, but she's also looks 20 years older."
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that was also a little thing. But no, even the other episode, if I'm not mistaken, there were two psychics in that episode. One who was like a more mature, like
Yeah. Yeah.
there were two of them.
An older guy, and the younger guy was kind of framing that older guy, right?
Yes, right. And again, in this situation, I felt like, are they setting us up with the, because with the supposed mom character, I had the same kind of, I'm getting set up by these two psychic,
Yeah, the old
somebody's
switcheroo.
the old switcheroo, like who's telling the truth or what's going on here. There's a mystery. And so again, like it was almost, they recycled the same intro. We have two telepaths. They come in, several telepaths come in, and uh, they're doing a negotiation of some sort. I think the other one was they were there to, as a
You're
delegation,
right. There are a lot of similarities. I didn't even really think about that when I was watching it. I just kind of like put it on and was expecting it to get good at some point. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm going to say I have a question for you, Sirach.
Yeah.
Don't Star Trek seasons or Star Trek producers like to start a season off pretty strong? Like this to me, and I'm not saying this was a bad episode, but
but you're not saying
yeah, but just because I'm not saying it doesn't mean it's good. So what I am saying is this feels like episode 23 or 24 or 25.
Yeah.
You know
Or
what
a
I'm saying?
mid-season filler episode
Just
type thing. Yeah.
around Thanksgiving where they're just like, I don't know, just knock something out real quick. And I'm, no offense to anybody, but like, hey, what the did I just watch?
Yeah. Again, I keep recalling the last episode because
Mm-hmm.
it just had. I almost thought they were going to recycle the almost identical plot, because it felt like she was a receptacle to some degree or another. Not to quote his words, but it felt like a sexual violation occurred when the stones touched, and she started to, clutch herself and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like right when they did the stone touching, I was like, oh, I think this dude just like got in her brain somehow and
Mm-hmm.
basically hooked up with her. That's what I was thinking. I forget about the whole emotional luggage, dropping off all of the baggage and putting it off on somebody. What it really felt was, and the way it was played was like it was a sexual thing, like she had been violated, through, telepathically. And so it didn't register for me right away that this whole thing, like the emotion that she was playing when the
Mm-hmm.
rocks touched,
Yeah.
that the way she played it was like, in hindsight now I can see, okay, maybe that's what she was playing, was the flood of emotions coming on her, of horror and all of the stuff that he puts off to the side because he doesn't want to deal with it while he's in his peacemaking mode. So he gives you all his bad thoughts. And so that was what she was playing as an actor, like, oh my God, all the horror and the bad thoughts in my head. But from my POV, it felt like it was a sexual thing. And what made it
Mm-hmm.
feel that way was the mother character saying, I know you want to hook up with him. I know you want to hook up with him. Right. So they already set us up for a sexual encounter with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's why I felt like this was like that kind of a violation when the rocks touched. And it kind of took me a while to walk that back.
Yeah, a lot of interesting points there. One was I remember writing in my notes, like when they did that, I'm like, is that like a pickup line where they're like, hey, you want to pound rocks? You want my rock to bump into your rock. Like rocks? That doesn't sound. Oh no, trust me, it's really, really. It doesn't sound good. Oh no, you'll love it. Well, trust you. Anyway,
Yeah.
But the other thing is, yeah, the you're right how they set the table immediately with the mom character. And of course, I'm writing in my notes her name and trying to figure, but it doesn't even matter. She, she was just a plot device. But the thing is with her is when she said, and this is a psychological thing, when she said, I know you want to have sex with her or whatever, with him and blah, blah, blah. Psychologically speaking, when I saw that, I felt like the first thing that Deanna Troi or any human would do is no. But now that you mention it, I don't know. Let me see. You know what I mean? Like it almost is kind of, you can't help, but I feel like that kind of reverse psychology of, I know you want to have sex with him, but you better not. A person might be like, well, I don't know. Maybe I will then. Like you can't tell me what to do. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I will. It really just kind of plants it in that character, in our character's head, but it also plants it in our heads of like, okay, so this is going to be a sexual episode from the top. Like that's it from the very beginning. You're right. Yeah.
And that is, by the way, what the mom character did in this. That's what a wingman needs to do when you're out with your boy.
Yeah.
That's the wingman line, just for everybody out there. You got to walk up to the person and say, I know you're trying to hook up with my friend. It's not going to happen. You get that out of your head.
You better not. No woman can crack him. He's so hard to get, and there's no way you can get him. But here's his number, though.
Yes, and he's waiting for you. He's sitting.
Yeah, he's over there, and he's lonely.
Yeah. But don't you try it.
Oh boy, I mean it.
Yeah, it worked on me too. I was like, this is actually a perfect psychological way to make somebody want to hook up with somebody. Like if you didn't say anything at all, I would have been like, oh, whatever. But the fact that you said that, and then the way she played it too, because the other lady's a telepath, right? Or she has some type of telepathy. So the way Troi played it was, oh, you got me. You read my thoughts, and I didn't reveal I was revealing that as a thought out there. And she didn't really. It was like, no, I'm not, what are you talking about? Like, no, I don't even know this guy, and you get that weird thing on your forehead. It's not really that attractive to me.
Yeah, that's not a way to win people over.
But yeah, so again, the writing set me up again for the mental gymnastics of believing that this episode was going to be almost an identical repeat of the last episode. And then it started to make me think, why when Troi finally gets an episode that's centered around her, it's always some kind of violation happening to her, right? It's never just, oh, you're a really good counselor and great detective work or something like that. We got a little bit of that with Barkley's character, but for the most part, it's always, this is a Troi episode. Some dude wants her, to use her for some reason that's nefarious or whatever.
Might be Riker, but you never know.
Well, Riker we're cheering for, but everybody else are like, you stay away. What are you trying to do?
Although, can I say that there was a moment there where I really liked new Troi. I was like, let's keep new Troi. And that was when she was in the counseling session. And she's like, hey, maybe he's just tired of all your complaining. I've been only sitting here for 10 minutes and I'm already sick of your voice. Maybe you should think about that. And then she threatens her. She's like, well, you better clean up your act or you're going to get transferred. You better stop complaining. I'm like, man, they're like 80% of the people that saw that were like, can you come to work with me for one day, please? Can you tell? just one day, 15 minutes. Can I borrow your services? We'll call it HR or something, whatever you want to call it. That was pretty good. I really liked New Deanna.
Yeah, I have to say I want new Deanna too, because the way she looked at that cadet in the elevator, I was like, "Can you look at me like that, Troy?"
I was like, okay, so here is the dichotomy here. Here's the yin and the yang. Is part of me is like, damn, poor Marina. They're doing her dirty where every time they give her an episode, it has to be something like this, which is terrible and ridiculous. And I'm sure nowadays would not happen, hopefully. But on the other side of things, I'm like, but she clearly didn't half-ass it. The actress still knocked it out of the park for her part. She's like, okay, well, this is the episode. And she could have very easily been like, I don't want to wear that. I don't want to, or whatever, or just been like, this looks dumb. But the way she looked at that ensign, she was not half-assing it. I was like, wow, that's pretty good. She looked at him like that one guy looks at hot dogs in the hot dog eating contest, that New Jersey guy. He's like, you guys, you're all mine. All of it.
Yeah, I love that look in the elevator. I thought she was like, that was enough said. I was like, this guy's he's scoring for sure. There's no, I was like, and poor Jordy, where is he when somebody's super horny? He's never around.
That's what when Ensign Charming or whatever talks to Jordy's gonna be like, this, I'm giving you a direct order. The next time somebody looks at you like that, you tag me in. You've had your share, bro. This is not fair anymore. You know I like Troi. And he's like, I know you like Troi. Everybody knows I like Troi.
Yeah, poor Jordy. Everybody's scoring before he does. That guy looked like it was his first day at the job.
Yeah. He's waste extraction, and he's like, I'm gonna like it here. Credits.
She looked at him like, do I look like a receptacle? And he was like, well.
It was a good. She really looked at him though. I was like, I can't do that. If somebody said, okay, so in this scene, you lean back and you just look at her like you want to eat her for lunch, I wouldn't be. I'd be like, It would just look terrible. But when she did, I was like, damn, that's some solid. I mean, it really, honestly, it was good acting. I was like, that was very good, and she sold it. And she did a lot of when she showed up wearing, parchment paper or whatever that outfit was. I did think of you there. And I wonder how many people's VHS tapes got fuzzy during that part. But by the way, Strzok, what did you think when she opened the door and she was just wearing the hardly anything outfit?
I mean, I had no objections to her whole outfits choices in this one. Yeah,
you're the wardrobe guy. That's true.
The wardrobe guy was killing it this episode, and so yeah, I had no problem with that. And it's funny, that cadet, he walked into the turbo lift and he said deck 4, and she turned out and said, I'll show you what a deck's for.
Yes. And she did. She absolutely did. So yeah, I thought she looked great in her outfits. I thought she acted well in all of her scenes. So as much as I don't like the overall intention of like, okay, let's use Troi for another sexual episode where she gets used. And in this one, she had even less free will than the others. She didn't fight back. She didn't save herself. She didn't solve the mystery. She was just like the symptom or whatever. She was the receptacle. Yet the actress, again, on the other side of that was like, whatever, I'm going to get a lot of screen time, so I'm going to kill it. And so I really think that she gets a lot of kudos, because I feel like a lot of people, rightly so, would be like, they'd kind of phone it in because this isn't the most exciting kind of episode to do, I don't think.
Yeah, it wasn't that exciting, no, but there were moments there that worked. And I'll tell you, I'll give you one of the moments that worked for me. What I really liked was the moment after the turbo lift scene with the young cadet in there, when Riker comes walking up to her quarters, and he walks in. She invites him in, obviously, and then he sees the cadet standing there, like, oh shit, like I just got busted.
He did, because he was like, he looked really guilty, because I don't know if he's thinking, uh-oh, Riker and Deanna are kind of a thing, or if he's like, uh-oh, that's my superior officer. Am I supposed to be doing this? Or
Yeah,
like he looked kind of
yeah.
guilty.
He looked guilty. I mean, there goes the number two guy on the ship, right? The one right under the captain. He walks right in on you while you're having, a hanky panky moment, and basically everybody in that room outranks you. So
Mhm.
Troi is your superior, and right. So he's like, oh man, this I don't know how this is going to go, and I think it went well for him. It would have been nice actually if Riker kind of gave him one of those like, yeah, all right,
Attaboys.
don't, yeah, not so much that far, but like, don't worry about it. I know it's, this is not on you type stuff. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
whatever. But
But at
it
that
was
point,
good.
he didn't know it yet. But what I was thinking was, the worst part of that is he's doing this right when they are meeting for crew evaluations. The worst possible. So Riker's like, what's your name? Ensign Jeremy. Okay, let's see. Ensign Jeremy. Where's my red marker? F. There it is. F minus underlined. He's
Yeah,
like, and he just tapes it to the guy's forehead, like if
yeah,
somebody gets a C in the what's the food restaurant, the food
yeah,
thing. I don't know.
yeah. Those letters. But what's the name? It was a Starbase 80 where they send people who do
Yeah.
bad. That they should cut to Ensign
Yeah.
Jeremy over at Starbase 80 just doing
With
cleanup work. Like,
with other degenerates, and they're like, hey, Ensign Jeremy, tell us again about that time. What time? You know, the time. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking. The time, man. Oh, so let me tell you, I've been feeling like something was going to happen for months. She'd been looking at me, and you were just going.
yeah, it just goes on and on. I was hitting the gym, starting to look real good.
Yeah, new cologne. We heard
When
that
it,
she was like possessed by some rocks. Nah. That's just Riker saying that because he's jealous of my
yeah,
gym.
I was her rock. But no, that that moment was good because, and the reason I like that moment is because it played well for me in one note, and the note was uh, equity. And what I mean by that is Riker has had his
Yep.
fair share of hookups, and she's been aware of those, and she has been very adult and nonchalant about those relationships and not made a big fuss about them. She's, said, Riker, you're a big boy, you can handle yourself, and so whatever decisions you make, I can respect and support. And so that shows her maturity throughout the show, and it's also the nature of their relationship being kind of, you know, one foot in, one foot out. You're not, you kind of
That's
cheering for
impressive.
them. You're cheering for them to get to kind of be together, but they're exploring other options because that's just the nature of Riker's character and
Yeah.
personality, and so she gets her get back a little bit. And this is not the first time, but she's also had it before when that guy came to propose to her, and Riker got it real jealous and was like,
That was
you know,
weird.
that was where he
I
started
was like,
pouting
Riker, are
and
you
stuff.
okay, man? You
But
gonna cry?
this was more indicative of how I expect their relationship to be, which is like,
Yes.
he walks in, he's like, I I'm not going to even ask any questions. I know what's gone on here, and um, and it doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't bother me. What
So,
bothers me is how she was acting, but not the fact that she hooked up with this guy. So I thought that was a good thing.
Yes, and you are hitting what I thought personally was the best part of the episode. And I want to talk all about that right after the break, because I have some thoughts on that. And I thought that Riker's reaction was actually the best part of this episode. I think there was one other, good part, but we'll be right back on the seventh rule. Hey everybody, welcome back to the seventh rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello.
Here are the trivioids of the week. Hostilities between the two factions in Rekog Sorona have intensified recently. Lumerians are empathic only with themselves. Ves Alkar's got a helicopter mom. Turned out to not be his mom. It's time for Riker and Troi to do the dreaded crew evaluation reports. Troi wants to reward herself with 2 ice cream sundaes. Counselor Troi and Ves Alkar touch rocks. Counselor Troi has a counseling session with Ensign Janeway. That was weird. Troi cancels all her appointments until after lunch, and Deanna claws the hell out of Riker's neck. So...
That was Ensign Janeway?
Yeah, she said Ensign Janeway. That was pretty cool. She said,
isn't that the next captain to come a couple of shows from now?
Could be if she skyrocketed in 5 years. 5 years? We'll call it 3 years or 2. Anyway, so what I thought was the best thing, the 2 best things are kind of related. One was, I thought the way Riker reacted was great because he didn't act angry. He didn't act jealous. He just kept it professional, kept it friendly, kept it professional, kept it caring. And then when she tries to come on to him, he didn't act, in kind. He was friendly, he was professional, and he cared about her. He didn't take anything personally, didn't take anything, to heart. I feel like maybe there could be different ways to react to it, but I was like, thank God, at least we have this one island of goodness happening in a sea of not great stuff.
Yeah.
And he was also funny. When she opens the door wearing that, the look he had was like, yeah, I'm coming in for the kill, baby. You missed me, did you? Here we go. And then he sees the other guy. He's like, oh, all right, cool, whatever. That's fine. That's cool. I didn't think anything. No,
I wasn't that excited about it. But yeah, that was funny too, because I did notice that, because when he walked across the threshold, he was totally like, oh, this kind of evaluation you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember these. So, and really what he should have been concerned about, if he was really worried about her, was the temperature inside of her cabin, because clearly it was cold.
Yeah, because the ensign was shivering. I'm pretty sure that's what you mean by that. But she was warm because of the rock touching and stuff like that. So
no, it was very nipply outside, and you walked right into it.
Space is cold. So the other thing, and you kind of touched on this too, that I thought was really good, and it's all kind of connected, was what a special and interesting and ahead of their time relationship Riker and Troi have. Yeah. At the end there, he's like, hey, here I am. I'll take care of you anytime. And she says, thanks for sticking by me. And he says, I always will, even when you're old and gray. Tee-hee. Mm-hmm. And they were happy together. And I was like, what a great open relationship they have, or whatever they want to label it. I don't know exactly what it's labeled, but I know a lot of people think they have an open relationship, or, they're more than off and on again. It feels like they just, they care about each other, and they're just kind of like, you you do you, I'll do me. Sometimes I'll do you, you do you, me. I don't know. But it's a very mature way for both of them. What is it called? Uh, Whatever. Ethical non-monogamy, I believe, is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were great. I thought it was very mature, and I really loved the way they ended up just being happy and friendly and caring about each other and saying, "Hey, I'm with you forever in whatever capacity it happens to be."
Yeah, and you know, I think that at the end when they kind of, it looks like they go in to hook up at the end because of the way they left it. It looked like they made up in a nice intimate way. But I think Riker was turned on by seeing her reverse age. There's nothing like seeing somebody you love go get younger all of a sudden in front of your eyes. That's a turn on.
Yeah, that's true. What if he was like, "Damn, she's gonna look pretty hot when she's old. This is all right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Maybe I should give this a second look."
Exactly. You got a sneak preview. He's like, you know what? That's all right. I can work with that. Yeah. So, no, I think that was really the highlight of the episode, as their moments together. As far as the performance that Marina gave, I enjoyed that. It was a 3 minutes where there were no words, and it was just her dancing in front of that mirror,
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
the
right.
reflection mirror. And you need to really give a performance in that moment to be able to fill in space with no words,
And it
right?
has to be believable. That is very hard
Yeah.
to do and make it believable. Like you're reading on the script, right? And it's just like, okay, she's doing Tai Chi or whatever with Worf, who, by the way, I saw Ensign Gates, our buddy Ensign Gates, that's usually the red shirt in at the helm with the
Yeah.
cropped hair. I saw Ensign Gates in the Tai Chi class with Worf or whatever,
Okay.
Klingon Tai Chi. But anyway, so she reads the script and it's like, she's doing her meditative martial arts. And then what does it say? Then she starts touching herself erotically. And
Yeah.
she's
Right.
like, okay, so like this or like that or what, I mean, and this is again something that seems like it would be very difficult, but you got to go all in or it's not going to work. It's not going to be believable. And she went for it. She just said, all right, well, I'm an actor. I'm going to go for it. And she gets like major kudos because that also, you also got to be brave to do that. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, you gotta commit.
Yeah. Um, it's not an easy thing to do, to just like, and it was weird again. I guess my mind was stuck in that last episode because even in that mirror scene where she's wearing the Tai Chi thing, did I imagine it, or was she like touching herself, and it felt sexual,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? To me,
Yes.
that moment felt sexual. She was literally about to disrobe at one point. She started to open her top up. So then I'm thinking to myself, the weird thing is, here's where the logic doesn't connect for me. So they touch rocks, and through his telepathy, he unloads all his negative stuff on you, right? His whatever, his worries, his fears, his sins, whatever
Yeah.
he's done. I don't know. Okay, he
His
unloads that on you.
age somehow.
Yeah, his age. Yeah. So he unloads. I guess they're saying that stress and holding on to these things ages us, right? So if you had a way to completely offload any negative thoughts, or you would probably age slower, and I would pretty much agree that's
Yeah.
possible. So okay, but then where does the sexual element come into play? That's the part where I am confused, because I can understand her feeling horror, feeling terror, because she has been now downloading all of these negative thoughts from this guy. But how does that translate into a sexual moment and you're grabbing yourself and touching yourself in that mirror room by yourself?
Yeah, there was no explanation there to that. I think they were just like, that's just part of the magic rock, I guess. And the magic rock makes you age and take on his stuff and also get really horny. What is a magic rock? It can do anything. Sci-fi nerds will eat anything up, they say as they write. They go, yeah. Sci-fi guys, the geeks will love this. Oh, yeah. And then should we make her grow antennae? No, that's too much. Let's just put all this stuff together.
Call them Lumerians. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, Lumerians. Yeah, where have I heard that before?
But yeah, no, I just felt like that's what threw me off. How does that translate to the sexual proclivity? And that's the part that I don't understand. I get maybe if she already had a sense of, because the older woman sensed that maybe she thought he was attractive. Maybe she looks at him and she thinks he's attractive. Like, you have the thought in your head when you see an attractive person. Okay, that's one thing. But how does that develop into the whole touch myself, and then I want to sleep with the ensign, and then I want to sleep with Riker, and then I want to sleep, like, I didn't get that part of it, where the sexual deviant part of it. Are those also part of his negative thoughts, where he, does he consider that negative thoughts like sexual urges?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just like thoughts, though. I mean, well, I don't know. Again, it's just magic rock. I mean, they're like, whatever. They can have it do anything. But I agree that we don't necessarily connect, old age and withering and unhappiness and bitterness with, sexuality. Like it doesn't, it didn't seem like that needed to be there. But then they probably just were like, we need another element to the story for it to work. There wasn't even, I guess there was a B plot. I couldn't even really follow the B plot either, to be honest. But let me say something else I did like, though. Here's something I liked. And I still to this day don't know why I like this so much. But when we see or hear Nurse Ogawa, the second we hear her voice or the second I see her face, for some reason, it makes me feel good. Like it makes me feel like this is good Star Trek. It just, I don't know why. I don't know why I make that connection, and I don't know where it came from. But when there's Alyssa Ogawa in an episode, it just feels more wholesome. It feels more filled out. It feels filled out. The same, in a similar way to when there's Barclay or when there's Guinan, in a similar way, but definitely in her own way, but in that way of like it's filling out the crew. Because otherwise, those 7 main characters are great, but I love seeing more of those secondary people coming in, and it just makes it feel like a fuller crew and a better crew, and it feels like a better episode when they're there. Or O'Brien, when he's there. But now he's off on Deep Space Nine with you.
Yeah, but and one thing Nurse Ogawa really allows for with Crusher is somebody to go back and forth with her doctor stuff. It's just like, otherwise she would be doing exposition to the other crew saying, "I'm going to give him 50 cc's of hyperspray of dimethyl. What it should do is it should help open up this." And then it would constantly be her trying to explain it to one of the other guys there, where she can now bounce it back off of Nurse Ogawa, and it sounds like to people in the OR or the ER, just working out what they would work out in the natural course of things. So it actually lets her bounce off with somebody and makes her better as a doctor. It gives her that authority as a doctor, because doctors also are surrounded by nurses,
of course,
and practitioners that help them execute. Right? You actually see the nurse more than you see the doctor. The doctor walks in for 5 minutes and says, "All right, I looked at the chart, and here you are, and everything's fine."
Yeah. They say everything's fine to you. Lucky. But like, They also the thing that she used to do before is just talk to a background actor and just be like blah 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 blah, and the background actor would go like this and walk off, and then somebody in ADR or whatever, would loop in and go like, "Yes, doctor," or something like that. And it's just
Right.
like, come on, let's put somebody else in there. Poor Beverly, give her something to work with.
Yeah.
And anyway, I think a lot of it too is I just really like Alyssa Ogawa's demeanor. There's something about her that's very comforting, that's very soothing, that seems nurturing and pleasant. Like I feel like she would just have the best bedside manner, you know? So there's something I just really like about her. Let us know in the comments below. What do you like about Ogawa? Am I tripping? What's going on? Why do I like her so much? It makes me feel good to see her. I just really like the character, like the actress.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, the other thing I thought about was I've heard of moms like that, like the mom that he like, you better not be into my kid and stay away from my boy. There are moms that are like that, and I thought, oh, this is one of those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically, Troy's mom on crack. Like, if Troy's mom was there to talk to that mom, the two of them would have really just
Wow, that's the
they
thing.
would have had it out. But no, that's what it reminded me of, like some kind of overbearing moms. That's what I thought it was going to be in the beginning. Of course, it had that little twist in it, but I don't know. I mean, was this the first time we saw Worf teaching the Tai Chi class?
I think it was the second, maybe. I feel like we did see it once before. And I don't remember. I feel like he did it once before, but there were more main characters in there. There are like 3, main characters in there, not just Deanna and Ensign Gates. But
It's funny, Worf's Tai Chi, because he's like the least at peace character that I can imagine. He's so short tempered, and
yeah, he's like, no, you must ground yourself.
He's always wants to like jump to the horse. I think we should attack them now. So like, there's no peace about it. I don't see.
Captain, we should destroy ourselves to teach them a lesson. Well, no, Mr. Wolf, that's a terrible idea. Exactly. But Captain, I also wanted to point out that 2 things. One was, oh, we'll just let Deanna Troi die and then resuscitate her. Whoa, yeah. That's quite a gamble. Number one. Number 2, if you could do that so easily and so assuredly, then how come so many times they say, "Oh, he's dead. Sorry, there's nothing I can do. No, he's dead. Sorry, oops." Like, for example, when the bad guy dies, Worf just goes, "Captain, whatever his name is dead." And they're like, all right. And nobody tried to resuscitate him. They didn't check his pulse. They didn't say, are you sure? Is there anything? They were just like, all right, whatever, let him rot. We're done with him. That was kind of funny, I guess.
Yeah, and the other part that was funny about that was, how long can she die for? 30 minutes, right? And they're like, so then they bring the guy on and they're like, how much time do we have left? 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Like, yo, don't push the edge of my death to the last 60 seconds.
Don't take it so close. I thought, and Riker was pretty chill about it too. He's like, hey, you could do 33. She's tough. There might be brain damage. Whatever. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they were taking it. They're like, how much time left? We've got to hurry up. I'm like, no, if you're going to kill me, at least wait till the guy walks in the door or something and then kill. Like,
yeah,
get that clock started later. Don't start that clock while he's still transporting.
They were way too sure of themselves with that entire process. I thought that was pretty rough. However, I think we're just about out of time, so it is going to be time for a very fun thing that we like to call, where's my prop? Where'd my prop go? Well, it's right there. I can't reach it. It
Okay.
is time for the home run of the episode. Sirach Lofton, who gets the home run of today's fabulous I got to be honest. I didn't like this episode. I didn't know what the heck I was
Yeah.
watching. I can't.
Yeah.
Like all the things I said I liked, I truly liked. But midway through the episode, I was like, "What am I watching?" And then at the end, I was like, "What did I just? This is terrible." Anyway, sorry. Home run of the
Yeah.
episode. Please continue.
Well, before I do that, I want to just give a name out there, written by Frank Abate Marlowe. And first time I'd seen his name also shows up as a supervising producer, if I'm not mistaken, some point during the opening credits. So
Is that right?
yeah, and first time I see his name as a writer, and first time I see his name as a producer. So I'm like, well, who's this guy, and where did he come out? So somebody they brought on, I imagine, in the sixth season. Uh,
Let's see if he
Abate
gets any
Marlowe.
more episodes.
Yeah, I don't know based on this one.
Yeah.
But home run of the episode, an actor can only deliver the material that's in the script and on the page. And I think that Marina Sirtis, did her job of holding up this episode that really didn't have much going for it. But she acted the hell out of it. So I might not like the episode that much, but I can't take away from the performance that she gave.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
home run
agree
for her.
with you there, man. I just looked up this guy. He has only 2 other episodes that he's written, and I was surprised to see what they are. They're coming up in the 6th season
Okay.
because they're pretty, pretty darn good.
Oh,
Like iconic level TNG good.
oh wow.
Kind of like if you're talking about, you know, iconic things like for Deep Space Nine, like The Way of the Warrior or The Visitor, like right, or Best of Both Worlds 2-parter. Like we're talking
Mhm.
like these are iconic episodes. So I don't know. I guess sometimes you can strike out in your next at bat. You can hit a home run. I guess. Speaking of home runs, the home run of today's episode, yeah, to me it goes to Deanna Troi for rocking it, for just going out there and what they say, there are no small parts, only small actors. In
Yeah.
this situation, there are no bad parts, only bad actors. And she was like, whatever, I'm going to take this script, which may or may not be good, and I'm going to rock the hell out of it because I'm a professional. And she totally did, and I'm proud of her. I think that's freaking awesome that she did that. And
Yeah.
certainly this episode was not bogged down by her. She did her part in spades. So easy home run of the episode for her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Also, some other people that are easy to like are, I was like, I better finish that sentence. People we'd like to thank, our friends, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom, TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri, Titus Moeller, Dr. Muhammad Noor, Anil O, Palat, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, and Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, the Matt Boardman. He also says you could call him a Matt Boardman if you'd like. Chris McGee, Jake Barrett, Henry Unger, Allison Leach Hyde, Julie Manosfi, Jed Thompson, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Glenn Iverson, Dave Gregory, Chris Sternett, Greg K. Wickstrom, Cassandra Gerard, Chuck A., Chris Garris, James Kerwin, and of course, Jason M.
And
Oken.
okay.
All right, everybody, stick around. We've got the free-for-all coming up next. We will be right back on the 7th rule. No more bad episodes, please, TNG.
Please.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
I'm battling a fruit fly over here.
Muhammad loves those guys.
Muhammad, yeah.
This is the Free for All, everybody, with Melissa Longo.
Hi there. Hello.
Also, Jason M. Oken.
Hi, everybody.
Chuck A. is the TNG fanatic.
Hey.
Carrie is Crafty Bear, and you know it. Faith Howell is on the bridge of the Enterprise D. Eve England is out in Wales. And the Dark Lord, Chris McGee, is here for all of us. Here we go. This is why I was giggling earlier. Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
Wow. It's gonna be something that starts with a number 6. Yeah, I'm gonna say 6.2. 6.2.
Ouch. Ruthless. Does anybody else have any guesses that doesn't already know?
5.
5.8.
He just said 5 flat.
I'll be a contrarian, not my personal opinion, but I'd go as high as 6.5. I know it's a lofty goal.
Charles Barkley. Carrie Schwent, you're guessing that it's a 4 on IMDb? Is that what I saw?
No, I know what it is, but I gave it a 4.
Okay. All bets are in. The correct answer is Keith Jennings, 5.7.
Wow.
We have not had.
That's my height too.
All right. See, this is your episode.
No way.
Did we get any non-appearance mentions? I didn't catch any. No. Okay. Chris McGee, any some kinds of or some sort of, or anything we can enjoy about this episode?
Yes, if you like those, 2 of them. First, Picard says, do you suspect that her death poses some kind of threat to the Enterprise? And then later asks, could Deanna have picked up some kind of disease from her?
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, let's get started off on the right track. Melissa Longo, please let us know what you thought of the official Melissa Longo episode.
No way. When I watch this episode, and I do always watch these things twice, and I was dreading the second time watching this, but it really ticked me off. This episode ticked me off because, one, why does Troi always get stuck with these skeevy dudes that want to violate her? Why is she the target of everyone's violation? I don't get it, because she's a smart woman and very capable of doing other things than getting violated by creepy, horrible, ucky, disgusting men. I am all for women owning their sexuality. That's great. I'm all for women owning that they have appetites. But in this case, she didn't get to consent to this kind of reveal. She didn't get to consent to anything. And I find that happening over and over and over again in the TNG episodes, is where they're stripping Troi of her consent constantly, all the time. And it drives me insane. Yes, she's a beautiful woman, but again, like I said, she's got more things than just her beauty. She's got more gifts and attributes than just her beauty. I will say, on a positive note, I did laugh when she was counseling Ensign Janeway. That was pretty hilarious. Then you should just quit. That was hilarious. And I do still enjoy her and Riker's relationship. This was the saving grace for me for this episode, is that Riker says that she's the closest person that he's ever known. That's important. That's important information. And I don't know. I just love their their relationship. That's all I have to say.
Great stuff, as always. Melissa F. Longo. All right, Jason M. Oken, what do you think of this one?
Well, to put it bluntly, I've always disliked this episode. I don't want to say intensely disliked, but maybe sometimes that's the feeling I get. The main question I ask, and certainly I ask now, is why are we seeing this? I mean, there are obvious reasons. They had to come up with a story. They had to do it quickly. And it was, I mean, that explains everything. I mean, they had to put an episode together, and this is just what came out of it. I don't think, frankly, it's Rick Colby's finest hour either. He's just, the only thing that perhaps is good here is, Marina's acting. I mean, she was given sort of this bad part to play in a lot of the sort of Troy-centric episodes that, as Melissa said, have been pretty bad. But, she holds her own pretty well. And that really is what kind of drives this whole thing forward. Again, the story is awkward. It doesn't, frankly, do anything or teach us anything. There's sort of this little speech at the end or a conversation at the end about the needs of the many and the needs, outweigh the needs of the few over the one, sort of the Star Trek theme. But that's only sort of very, very shallow. There's no real purpose to this at all. There are a lot of things I can pick apart here. I mean, it is kind of a bottle show that, shot. There's another, there's one sort of new set there that used these 1980s glass bricks or whatever you want to call them in the background. That sort of took me out and said, oh, geez, this is the early 1990s. But it's just, again, it's cheap in more ways than one. There are issues with the makeup on occasion. Other things, it's just, again, frankly, not Star Trek's finest hour.
Thank you very much, Jason M. Oken. All right. He calls it like he sees it. Chuck A., what do you think about this one? You're a huge TNG fanatic. Was there good in this episode or just...
Well, the Riker, Troi, a couple of their scenes, as Melissa mentioned, were good. I thought they gave Gates, Beverly Crusher, a lot to do in the episodes. She doesn't always get a lot to do. It's a shame they gave... I mean, Marina obviously had a lot to do, but they didn't give her a good episode for Troi. She takes, like was mentioned, a lot of abuse, and they give her a lot of stuff stories that she shouldn't be given. She should not. This episode should not have been done. It should have been. They should have picked something else to do. I have a small list of bad TNG episodes, and unfortunately, this is one of them. It's a shame that it comes after a few good ones in a row that we had, end of season 5 and the beginning of season 6. I do have. It was good to see like Nurse Ogawa had a few things in there, to see her in there, and the transporter chief, had a little help takedown scene at the end there with, and Picard got stabbed, but he said he was all right. So, but I mean, there was very few decent, good scenes in the episode. It was, like I said, a very poor episode especially going into a good season like season 6. There's going to be so many good episodes.
Good point. Remember, we looked it up. Season 6 has the highest overall IMDb score. So there's going to be some bangers to counteract this guy. Thanks very much, Chuck A. All right, Carrie Schwent, your thoughts? Top 15 episode?
No, more like another one to add to the we'll never be able to watch again, because unfortunately watching it this time was like The Price a couple seasons ago. It's definitely a lot more triggering this time around. Alcar reminded me far, far too much of the X, especially at the end when Picard is confronting him, and the way he bragged about the way he was using all of his receptacles. It's exactly the way my ex used to just cavalierly brag about stuff. I did not care for him at all, and he seemed almost familiar, but I looked him up, and the only thing I recognized him from was a Voyager episode, and thankfully he's a lot less creepy in that episode. But that said, Marina did a hell of a job with the material she was given. Most of her looks I very much enjoyed. I really, really love her in the blue dress behind Melissa. The hair is fantastic. The touches are great. She's gorgeous in that dress. And we have seen that dress before on one of the companions of the Fat Ferengi in Unification 2 in that club with the woman with the four arms playing the piano.
Amory.
Yeah. And call me morbid, but the little coffin shaped box that Alcar kept the crystals in, I thought that box was really cool looking, just neat shape. I loved the lining on the inside. I don't know. I kind of dig that sort of stuff. I'll keep coming back up and highlight the one guest star that I really recognized, the assistant, trying to figure out how to pronounce Leva. I think the woman at the end that he tries to connect with that doesn't go very well. Stephanie Erb is the actress's name. She's of the guest stars. She's the one still currently acting. The one thing I did definitely recognize her from was a couple of years ago, she pinch hit for one of my favorite actresses on General Hospital who had to have surgery. Filled in for her for a couple of weeks and did a fantastic job with it. The role in this episode was her first acting credit, and I thought she did pretty well with like the little bits that she did have to do. And like Chuck and Melissa, I adore Riker and Troi. I picked this shirt on purpose because Riker is in this episode is her moral support. He's there for her even when she's acting all kinds of weird and scratching the hell out of his face. I mean, ow! But the scene at the end when they're cuddling on the couch, it just gives me the warm fuzzies and reminds me of my husband when I'm going through or getting through something. He's there for the excellent snuggles as well. And I may not have ice cream, but like the Dark Lord, I do have my chocolate wine. And of course, Riker inspired the limerick for the episode that I will finish with. My Imzadi is acting very strange. Her behavior seems to have really changed. This man got into her head, a thought which fills me with dread. But she knows I am here for her always.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Morbid.
Thank you.
All right. I listened. Faith Howell is up next. What did you think about this episode?
Yeah, definitely. We're out of season 5 because this is terrible. And I felt like, haven't we seen this like before? We've seen like this exact same storyline 2 or 3 times now. It feels like between, we had that one guy in season 1 or 2 where he was de-aging or whatever, and then we had another episode where somebody was dumping on Troi. Like it's not always exactly Troi, but it feels like we've seen this before. I will say, as you guys have already commented, I think the saving grace is split between getting to see Troi and Riker really shine together in ways that is, showing the development of their relationship. And also Marina is just gorgeous. Like I have a girl crush on her. I'm sorry to say, not sorry to say, but she's fabulous. Yeah, it's such a throwaway episode. The only thing though, that chocolate sundae, I'm going to have 2 chocolate hot fudge sundaes. Like, why not just have 1 large one? Why do the dishes for 2? That must be a new, like a replicator thing. They must only come in this size.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Faith Howell. So you kind of liked it. Eve England is out in Wales. Please let them know this is your first time watching this episode and you thought this was.
And this will be the last time. And I watched it once and I'm not ever going to watch that again. It was just a horrible episode for all the reasons that everyone has already said. So I'm not going to reiterate all of that horrible stuff and the way they just treat Troi is just appalling. I mean, I kind of got the sense that they were trying to do, I don't know, a sort of take on, say, the picture of Dorian Gray, that he had, all of his bad things were going into his receptacle, and he could go off and have his life that he wanted. But it was kind of creepy for all the wrong reasons, for all the reasons that everyone's already just mentioned. But I kind of did get the sense that there was this sort of gothic horror vibe to it. I mean, that picture behind Melissa, I mean, that, it just kind of screams some kind of Bride of Frankenstein or Morticia Addams or something like that. So I thought that's what I kind of got those sort of vibes, but it just was executed really badly. And I just, to finish the comment, it's just the fact Troi was just so passive as well. She had to be rescued at the end. She was just a dying corpse on the table for the last scene. And it was just really frustrating. And I was kind of hoping that by this point in TNG, we would actually start having some decent Troi episodes, because I just feel like it's just a wasted character and it's just incredibly frustrating.
Yep. Thanks very much, Eve England out in Wales. All right, Chris McGee, let him have it. What do you think of this one?
Okay, you asked for it. Well, it didn't take long to get our first mediocre episode of the season, did it? Unfortunately, like so many Troi-centric episodes before, this one just doesn't seem to work well. Of course, I don't blame Marina Sirtis at all. I think she did quite well with what she was given. I'm just tired of the Troi must suffer episodes, and I'm glad I'm not the only one. Anyway, so it was nice to see Susan French in this episode playing Seb Mailer, Ambassador Arkaller's mother. I remember her most from one of the earliest horror films I ever saw, House, from 1985. Her character's pose when she died was borderline frightening, as though her passing was anything but peaceful. That's one unfortunate image that is stuck in my memory from this episode. When Alcar doesn't show any grief over his mother's passing, one could quite easily chalk it up to bad acting, but of course it later becomes clear that he has no emotional attachment to his receptacles. So his reaction, or rather the lack thereof, makes sense. Still, part of me wants to say that he should have at least put up a grieving front so no one would get suspicious. And if it hasn't been pointed out before, the knife that Troi threatens Picard with is the same prop as Captain Dathon's. If I can find the correct image, there it is. Captain Dathon's knife in Darmok. I wonder why she stole it from Picard's quarters. One thing I'm curious about is if, only a little bit curious, is if Alcar has ever had any receptacles of other genders. If not, one could say he harbors maybe a hatred of women, kind of like in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And the memorable quote of the episode for me, strangely, is Riker saying, "It's that time again, the dreaded crew evaluation reports."
Nice. Which made me think of Lower Decks. Thank you very much, Chris McGee. Great stuff as always. All right. Jake's final take. Wait, is Rock frozen?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. He's back.
Hey.
Jake's final take. Any final thoughts on this episode, Strzok? We were raving about it the first hour or so.
Yeah, final thoughts. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Ambassador Alcar. Is that a rock in your pocket, or are you happy to see me? Actually, it's 2 rocks. We need them to touch. Yeah, no. Anytime a guy pulls out some rocks out of a box that's shaped like a coffin, I think the coffin box thing, it should be the giveaway. I saw that box, and it was a nice looking box, but I was like, it's shaped like a coffin. It's not good vibes.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, I still didn't get why the sexual aspect was there. I just didn't get why she had to be sleeping with everybody, and that I can understand having a downloaded emotions, but that aspect of it, I just seemed out of place for me. Just, but that woman in the beginning, that he claimed to be his mother, reminded me of my mother when she doesn't want somebody that I'm talking to mess with me. She does everything she can to play defense on that situation. So, yeah. So, one of those things like, you need to stay away from him. I was like, oh my God, Mom, please, you're killing it. And then I loved it when she said, have you mated with him yet? That made me laugh a little bit because it's such a rude question. And to see Troy's face, like, I don't even know what to say to you right now. What else do we have here? This was a terrible episode. So you're really pulling for stuff when you have to review this stuff. Here's the last thing I heard there was a lot of transporter activity going on in this episode, right? They wanted to transport him out of the room, transport this. And I think at one point Picard said, transporter chief, do this and that. And when he said transporter chief, I thought they were going to see the real transporter chief, O'Brien himself. But he wasn't in this episode, and I wish I could have seen him. We had that substitute transporter chief. I forgot. I don't know what her name is, but she was in there in this episode. But every time I hear transporter chief, I want to see O'Brien. So I missed out on that. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the biggest critiques of this show. It's just like they just don't know how to write appropriate stuff that doesn't look chauvinistic and look like they don't have a clue about how to tell stories for women. And this is an exact one like that. It's like, guys, you don't have any sisters or mothers or something that you can, like, there's no stories that you have that seem more believable than always this sexual exploitation, always this, objectification type of thing. I mean, Marina Sirtis is beautiful to look at. She's able to keep our attention because of her performance and because she's, beautiful to look at. So, those things happen. Yeah, I mean, if you remove that aspect of it, then this episode goes even farther down the toilet as far as how bad it ranked. She's literally saving it at a 5.7 IMDb. She's saving it with her performance, which is shows you how bad it is. But yeah, I would have liked to not seen this one. They could have definitely saved this at least farther on in the middle of the season, where they could bury it and kind of hide it in the shuffle. But it starts the season off, so you're like, oh, it's going to be a good season. It's going to be great. I can't wait. Season 6, I heard it's the best. And then you're like, are we back to like season 1 and 2? Is this, it was not good. So, and interestingly enough, Ryan and I talked about it, but the writer Frank Abate Marlowe ends up writing some good stuff, according to what Ryan says in his research. But this is not a good start for him. But somehow he gets a chance to redeem himself, and I'm looking forward to the redemption song because this wasn't
right. Redemption was last season, but no, awesome. That's it for us, everybody. Thank you so much, Chris McGee, Eve England out in Wales, Faith Howell, Carrie Schwent, Chuck A, Jason M. Oken, Melissa Longo, for myself, Sirach, Melissa, and Mr. Aaron Eisenberg. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us. If you are on Patreon with us, we'll see you on the other side at Things Left Unsaid, where we are just, we cannot wait to, boy, oh boy, more of this episode. And if you're not, hey, join us at patreon.com/the7th rule so you can get more of this goodness. We'll see you next time. And until then, always remember the 7th rule.